So I'm here in one of my clients' business managers, and I just wanted to go through some of the results that I've been able to generate for this client over the last year. As you can see, for the last 30 days, we're averaging around a 9 ROAS, which is pretty much insane. If you run Facebook ads, you should know that a 9 ROAS, it's really good results. So I just wanted to go through some of the campaigns and some of the strategies that I use for this client and how I've been able to get these great results. So the first thing I want to talk about is we never turn off campaigns, or very rarely do we ever turn off campaigns. If we have low stock, or if my client has low stock, or if they don't want to run a campaign anymore for whatever reason, then I just always tell them to let's just decrease the budget instead of turning it off. Because in their mind, they think they can just turn on and off a campaign and then it's all fine when you start it again, but that's not the case. When you turn off a Facebook ad campaign, then you're exiting the learning phase, or you're going back to the learning phase. And the learning phase is basically just a Facebook algorithm optimizing and learning. And if you turn off the campaign or make any big changes to the campaign, then most likely you will exit, or you will go back to the learning phase. So when you turn it on again, then you have to start from scratch basically. So that's why it's good to, if you need to minimize ad spend or decrease ad spend in any way, try to keep the campaign still active if you're planning on running it in the future, because then you will Facebook will keep getting data, and when you want to continue advertising, then you don't have to start all from scratch. So that's why this is some of these campaigns I've just been running for almost a year now. Of course, we do change some of the creatives and some of the targeting, but it's been running very long periods without us doing any changes to it. And then Facebook gets a lot of data and they can optimize without us always going in and changing stuff all the time. So tip number one, make sure your campaign is running for longer periods of time and try to not turn them off. Try to keep them out of the learning phase, and try to don't go back to the learning phase more than necessary. So the second tip that I have that we've been doing a lot for this client is continuously testing out new creatives. So new videos, new images, new headlines and text copy. That's stuff that we test out all the time, but we never do it when we try something new, we let it run for at least 7 to 14 days. And by doing this, you get to test the new changes properly. If you just put something like a new creative and then you don't get results for the first 3 days and then you turn it off, then it's not a proper test, and you're just going to screw with the algorithm, and you're probably going to go back to the learning phase if you do that all the time. So when you launch new creatives, make sure that you're very patient, let it run for a long time, so at least 7 to 14 days, and then look at the data, and then you can maybe turn it off, or you can prioritize it and turn some of your other ads off, depending on how it's performing relative to your older creatives, so the ones that are still been active. And my third tip for you is always prioritize your most important products, like the products that are responsible for the majority of your revenue. So if sometimes e-commerce stores, you have a lot of products, and when you start advertising on Facebook, it's hard to maybe you just do a catalog campaign and include all your products. But my tip is to make sure that you only focus on the products that are actually doing most of your revenue. And this is because those products are more likely to be the ones that bring in new customers. And sometimes when you bring in a new customer, by having an ad for one product, they go into your e-commerce store and they buy more products. Or maybe if they buy the product that you advertise, then they come back for more other products later. It all depends on what strategy you use and how your business model works. But if you have a lot of different products and all of them are kind of based in the same category or like filling the same need, then most likely it's a few of them is going to be the ones that are responsible for the majority of the revenue. So focus on those. It's also going to be easier for you to run campaigns and optimize because you only have a few campaigns that you really need to focus on. And then you can get really good at these campaigns instead of having like 100 different campaigns and being very bad at all of them. So make sure that you use the 80-20 principle. So focus on the 20% of products that are responsible for 80% of your revenue. And you can even go 90-10 or even you can even go fewer products than that. So, but that's just, it's going to help you focus and optimize better. So on top of these campaigns, you should also have a retargeting campaign. And you should try to personalize this retargeting campaign as much as possible. So usually how we do this is we just have a catalog sale campaign with retargeting. So if someone adds a product to cart or views a product without purchasing, then that product will be advertised to them on Facebook or Instagram or any other of the advertising platforms, so Facebook. And by doing this is something you don't have to like. This is a dynamic creative, so it's not even a creative, it's just a dynamic ad. So it's only going to show like the product images, so you don't have to like always go in and test out new creatives. This is more like an evergreen retargeting campaign, and you should, in that campaign, in the ad, you should make sure to focus on the stuff that usually makes them not completing the purchase. So sometimes that can be shipping. If they're afraid that shipping will take too long, then make sure you include the information about shipping. And if it's not a long shipping, of course, make sure you include that. So make sure they know that they can expect the product within 1 to 3 days after they purchase. Another thing to always include is if you have any return policy or anything like that, that can minimize the risk for the customer, include that in the ad copy in a text, because that's gonna really increase the conversions. So that's just like a really practical tip, and it's easy to set up, and it's an evergreen campaign. Make sure that you don't spend the majority of your budget on this campaign, because at least in the beginning, this is not going to be a scalable campaign because it's only retargeting. So you have to scale the cold audiences, like the cold campaigns that really brings in new customers. And when you have like a lot of new traffic, then the retargeting campaign and the retargeting audience is bigger. So then you can increase the budget and scale the retargeting. But in the beginning, you will most likely have to spend very little on retargeting and most of your budget on like the cold campaigns. But then over time, you can start to increase the budget for the retargeting campaign. And one of my last tips is to always make sure like have evergreen campaigns. Make sure that you have campaigns for your most popular products. And on top of that, when you have special offers, then you can run like a time-limited offer campaign. But don't include them like the ads for the offers in your evergreen campaigns. Make separate campaigns for this so it doesn't screw with the learning phase. When you add new creatives to campaigns or do like major changes, then it will definitely affect the results. And maybe those ads that you put in are in the evergreen campaign is working really well. But when you then have to turn them off because it's a time-limited offer, then you would screw with the learning phase, because Facebook does not understand why you turn off the best ad, and then it will start prioritizing the wrong ad again, and it's just going to be a mess. So make sure always create a separate campaign when you have a time-limited offer, and the evergreen campaign should just be running all the time. And if you need to reduce budget, then reduce budget, but try to keep it active all the time. And my last tip is to make sure you always focus on a few, but the most important numbers for your strategy. So this is especially if you want to get better results on your advertising, you should focus on always optimizing conversion rate on your e-commerce site or your landing page. And you should really focus, if you have a lot of products and if your business fits into it, you should try to increase average order value. And this is definitely going to help your ROAS numbers as well. Like the average order value and the ROAS number is very correlated. And this is because, of course, if you like pay for a new customer and that customer spends more money, then your ROAS will obviously increase. And then you can, if your ROAS increase, you can most likely also scale a campaign, increase the budget, and get more customers. So conversion rate, and average order value, super important. Make sure every month or like every 3 weeks you have a report and you go and look at if it's better or worse. Like make sure you always keep track of these numbers, because it's going to be very important. If you for some reason don't see any results 1 month, make sure you look at these numbers, because most of the time it's very related. So that's just some of the tips that I had today. If you would like to see more, you could subscribe to this channel. Obviously, I'm not really good at this. This is one of my first videos. I'm just trying to give value, and hopefully it would people will like you will maybe like it. And if you like it, like the video, subscribe, let me know in the comments, and then I will make more. And also, if you are wondering anything, if you have any like questions, put them in the comments, and then I will answer each and every one of them.